a renewable energy-driven energy system has to deal with the fluctuation of the availability of the renewable energies. And a lot of people has a lot of doubts how this can really happen. We altogether know in northern countries we have mainly the heat demand in winter time, where the sun is only shining a little bit. Wind is also not continuously available. So the question is how to deal with that. And for sure, a very simple answer is we have to install storage to compensate and balance this, this fluctuation of energy. So for sure, storage technology will be an important topic in the future. But it is not really intelligent and smart, and it's not efficient to install as much as possible storage to compensate that fluctuation. What we will see is an intelligent energy system. Which is using as less as possible storage capacity, because storage capacity means always that you are losing efficiency, because you have to store the technology, then you're losing some energy, you have to make it available, and during the storing time you usually also have losses. Therefore, you try to avoid as much as possible to install storage capacity. And secondly, storage capacity means also additional costs. But you cannot avoid it. In a future energy system, we will use storage technologies. Storage technologies to store electricity, to store heat, to store cold, and also to store gas. Storage technology is already available. We use storages, for example, in the battery in our cars. And we are now seeing more and more electric vehicles which are driven by electricity stored in the car. But we altogether know also from that experience that the capacity of these storages, of electric storage, is limited, and they are heavy and they are expensive. So new technologies are here on the way, under development, with more efficiency, with lower costs, and also with higher capacities. But also new technologies are here on the way, for example, with redox flow batteries. This means that new combination of technologies, of sources are there. And redox flow means that also the materials are separated and stored separately. And if you bring that materials together, you can produce electricity again. This is a technology which is, for example, under development, and where it is possible to install large electricity storage capacity. So we expect, for example, that that we will see electricity storage on the district level in a larger amount to compensate this fluctuation of renewable electricity. But we also believe that we will see adapted storage solutions of all levels of energy use. So this means today, for example, what we see is now there are a lot of photovoltaics consumer and user today. We have in Germany, for example, more than 1 million photovoltaic systems already installed. But the photovoltaic is produced, for sure, during the daytime when the sun is shining, fed into the grid. If now a private household is saying, well, I want to use as much as possible of this produced electricity by solar electricity produced by myself, this is complicated because usually the main electricity consumption is during the evening, since the people are working during daytime. But most of the electricity is produced during the day. And therefore, there is now a growing offer from the industry of new products, combined products of storage technology for single buildings, to combine it with photovoltaic plants and photovoltaic systems, so that you can store the electricity produced during daytime in the storage and use it in the evening for your consumption. And therefore it's possible, for example, to increase the share of the electricity produced from perhaps 25% to 50 or 60% by such an storage system. So this is an example for electricity storage on building level. But we will also see large storage technologies. Since it is very costly and to store electricity over a long time, we will not see electricity storage over half a year, for example. What we expect is that we will see gas storage, and it is possible to use the electricity from wind, from solar, which is produced in summertime or with the wind, if the wind is blowing. And if there is excess electricity which cannot use at that time, since there is not enough demand at that time, this electricity can be used to be transformed to gas. You can simply produce hydrogen with that electricity, but you can also, from that hydrogen, you can produce synthetic methane, and therefore this methane can be used like a natural gas source as today. And so it is possible to produce synthetic methane and store it in the storage capacities we have already. So we have huge natural gas storage capacity in Germany, in Europe, for example. So it is no problem to have a seasonal storage from this electricity produced in summertime, for example, to store it for the usage in wintertime when the sun is not shining and the wind at some time is not blowing. This is the gas storage, and we also will use heat storage. For example, we have now the situation, at least in Central and Northern Europe, that we have the main heat demand in wintertime, but the sun is not shining too much, and therefore there is the idea to build up district heating systems. We will see in the future in ideal cities, we will see more district heating systems, because the roof of high-rise buildings is not large enough to produce enough heat by solar thermal collectors, for example. And therefore, it is possible to deliver renewable produced heat to such buildings and such districts if a district heating system is installed and the solar thermal power plant or perhaps the biomass power plant is then located at another place in the city. And if such a district heating system is installed, it's also possible to integrate a very large heat storage. Because the losses of heat storage is dependent on the relation of the surface to the volume, and as large the losses are via the surface of the storage, and as larger the volume is, the relation of surface to volume is becoming smaller, and therefore the losses are reduced. And this means now it is possible. And we have already installed such systems. For example, 10 very large hydro storages are installed in Germany in combination of a very large hydro storage plant, for example, with 10,000 cubic meter of water, combined with a large solar thermal power plant, for example, with 10,000 square meter collector area. And it is now possible to store the solar heat, which is not used in summertime for domestic hot water heating, to store that heat in this very large hydro storage and use it for heating purposes in wintertime. And therefore it's possible to cover more than 50% in the systems which are already installed, cover more than 50% of the heat demand in such systems only by solar energy, which is mainly produced in summertime but is mainly used in wintertime. So this is another topic. And the last but not least, for sure, we also need cold storage. Cooling is a growing issue worldwide, also in Central Europe, for sure in Southern Europe and in southern-oriented countries with a lot of sunshine. And therefore also there it is necessary not only to install cooling systems which are based on renewables, but also to integrate cooling system, district heating or district cooling systems, and combine it with cooling storages, ice storages, which are on the market already today.